Hi, I'm Charles with AniCap. Previously, Mofan was somehow able to awaken two rare talents, but kept it a secret until he had to use them in a difficult battle. He is eventually forced to move to another city where he would shockingly awaken another two talents. He would then use a combination of all his talents to rescue everyone in his school. The story continues as Miss Tang speaks with the judge of the Justice Department for mages. He explains that there is a matter that she needs to tend to since she is the only person that he can trust with the job. The situation is in chaos, so she must go immediately and drop all her other tasks. She explains that the issue with the Violent Spring hasn't been resolved, but the judge explains that the Black Curia is always on the move, and that they can't spend time chasing them forever. He wants to try to act before they do, and that is why he is sending her to the 3 pools. After she secures that mission, he asks that she keep an eye on Mofan since he is protecting the Sacred Spring, and the dangerous person named Salong is desperately searching for it. If all goes well, they can capture Salong when they come after Mofan and extract information about the Black Curia. Miss Tang calls Mofan to confirm that he still has the Sacred Spring, but is shocked to hear that he had to drink it in the midst of chaos. She asks if he has seen any Black Curia members since leaving Bo City, but he hasn't. Afterwards, Miss Tang still can't help but worry about him, and she gets into contact with the Hunters Club. Zenzaya would then continue on explaining how the Gura tomb has a long history. Compared to demons, the dead spirits of the tomb are significantly more dreadful and fearsome. After several people had lost their lives attempting to explore it, the government announced that the tomb would become forbidden land and no one is allowed to enter. However, it has close ties to the Sacred Spring, and they believe that the tomb might be the only clue that leads to the truth of the disaster behind Bo City. Zenzaya then worries that Mofan won't have time to visit her next semester, but he explains that he shouldn't be that busy and will make time to visit. Later, Mofan trains and reveals that he has managed to level his fire and magic significantly, although probably not enough to take down a warrior level monster. He is bored of staying home all day training though and realizes that real life combat is the best way to level anyway, so he heads to his Hunters Club. Business is slow though and he just ends up complaining. After some time, Bao arrives with a new job, but he reveals that it is a bit odd. The client explains that they are unfortunately too busy to do the job themselves and requests that they protect someone for them. It seems like a simple bodyguard job, but Bao reveals that the person they have been asked to protect is Mofan. The client has already paid a large sum of money, so it is definitely not a prank, which means Mofan might be in some kind of danger. Bao wants to call in another hunter for the job, but Mofan says that he is a hunter as well, and can protect himself. More importantly though, he just wants all the money. Mofan explains that he spends all his time at home or in school anyway, and should be fine. However, after he leaves, Bao tells Ling Ling to watch his every move. That night, Mofan wonders if the Black Curia are after him, and remembers how they had always been good at hiding amongst normal people, like Yuang. He then attempts to figure out who the client is. Officer Kong is his first thought, but reveals that he hasn't heard from him since leaving Bo City. His thought is interrupted though when he is attacked by someone from the shadows. He manages to deflect the fire attack, but the wind attack that follows forces him to use his beast boots. His attacker thinks he might be trying to run, but Mofan explains that he has just had enough of his boring performance. Mofan's attack is ferocious and follows it up with a strike to the ground that buries his opponent. He calls out for his attacker's accomplices and they beg for mercy since they go to the same school. Mofan is shocked since he believed that they had been part of the Black Curia coming after him. They explain that Jaya was the one who told them to do it, and it was because he felt that Mofan had disrespected Mu. Mofan warns that they should be more careful since he almost killed Jaya, and that they better rush him to the hospital. Mofan then wonders if he is being too paranoid, but decides that it is better to be safe. He calls Ling Ling to ask that Bao watch over his father, and she watch over his sister. Ling Ling reminds him that the job is to protect him, but Mofan explains that if anything were to happen to his family, then he would be as good as dead. He leaves them with no other option, so they agree to do it. Later, Mofan thinks about how he had come to this new city in the hopes of leaving his past behind. But the fight earlier reminded him that it's impossible for him to forget the hatred he has for the Black Curia. He then proudly proclaims that the Sacred Spring is with him, and if they want it, they are going to have to come take it. On the first day the school reopens, Mainen explains that everyone is talking about how he dominated Jaya, and it makes sense why everyone has started calling him a devil. He is called to meet the dean, who scolds him for nearly killing a student. He explains that it was self-defense, but they still think he went too far. Mofan's violent behavior makes the dean wonder if Mofan is in some kind of danger, but lets him go without answering. Before leaving though, Mofan requests for the permission to train in the 3-step tower as soon as possible. The dean won't deny him since Mofan had earned that right, but points out that it surely means Mofan has urgent matters that he is trying to take care of. Again, Mofan says nothing, but the dean agrees to arrange it for him. The dean's assistant reveals to us that they actually already know everything and recommends hiding Mofan from the Black Curia. The dean explains that the Justice Department has been looking for the Black Curia for over a year, with no results. However, the Curia seem to have come out in search of something Mofan has. That is why the Justice Department has decided to use Mofan as bait. That means Mofan is in grave danger, but the dean says he believes in Mofan's strength, and the school will help the best it can from the shadows. Furthermore, Mofan is going to go train at the tower, which means he must have already made his decision to go after the Black Curia. At the hospital, Jaya begs for his life as he explains that his allegiance to the group was not found out. He says that the best time to take Mofan down will be at the main campus assessment, and promises to kill him once he recovers. The man reveals himself to be Yuang. He explains that he had promised to make Mofan his slave and that he is a man of his word. Days later, the dean explains that the 3-step tower is a very special magical building that can gather natural elemental energy from the earth. Its location and structure allow it to accumulate energy from thousands of kilometers away. One of the escorts explains that Mofan is the first freshman that has been allowed to train in there, and that he is very jealous. Their walk inside the building seems endless, and Mofan can't help but notice the much larger space inside compared to the building appearance from the outside. It is explained that the Space Element Department has the idea that 1 step will take you 1,000 miles, 2 steps will take you 10,000, and 3 steps will take you to boundless lengths. Thus, the 3-step tower is also known as the Tower of Infinity. It might not look like much from the outside, but on the inside, it is extremely difficult for one to reach its end. The escort explains that each layer will have different level of benefits, and sends Mofan on his way. As he ascends, he realizes that his magic energy is depleting, which is odd considering he hasn't used any magic. Outside, it is revealed that the escort had withheld information from Mofan out of jealousy. He assumes Mofan will figure out eventually though that for each layer he goes up, the speed of mana consumption greatly increases. The other person explains that he should have warned Mofan not to push to the 2nd layer, since almost all mid-tier mages would be completely depleted of magical energy halfway, rendering them unconscious. The escort says that even after waiting for years, he has never gotten the chance to enter even once, so Mofan doesn't deserve any help from him. Mofan barely manages to reach the 1st layer, but finds that development there is 20 times faster than outside. Days pass as Mofan makes a difficult trip up to the 2nd layer. Once there, he can instantly tell that the difference in layers is extreme. Both his fire and lightning talents have reached the 2nd level of mid-tier magic in such a short time. The only problem is that the consumption of energy has greatly increased as well. He only has 1 day left though and decides to make a push for the 3rd layer. These steps are several times harder than the others, causing him to lose vision and almost give up. However, he perseveres and finds that it was all worth it when his development speed increases over 200 times what it normally is. He gives his abilities a try and hopes to one day come back to go to a higher layer. Moments later, he leaves the tower and leaves the person who escorted him in shock when he explains that he reached the 3rd layer. He arrives home to see Mu practicing with the leveling bracelet, and she notices how quickly Mofan is developing. She assumes it's because he is preparing for the main assessment. He actually had forgotten about the assessment altogether. She says that he shouldn't, since if he misses the opportunity to get into the main campus this time around, he will be stuck in the novice campus for another 3 years. He agrees with her, but can't help but being concerned about the Black Curia's ill intentions. Days later, the dean explains that this year's main campus assessment will be a bit different. Examinees will need to catch a dark shadow beast that escaped from the military, and it must be caught alive. In addition, he reveals that the highest performers each receive an opportunity to practice in the 3-step tower, and everyone is in disbelief. Later, Shai would like to know if Mofan knows anything about the dark shadow beast. Luckily, his old friend Zhang has lots of knowledge of the military and explained to him that the shadow beasts like to eat beef. Furthermore, this is shedding season for them, and the fur that comes off their tails slowly turns into dust. Shai is impressed and explains that students are allowed to form teams for this assessment. She tries to use compliments in combination with a bit of charm to convince Mofan to join her team, but fails miserably. However, Mofan reveals that the reason he didn't join is because the Black Curia are unpredictable and he doesn't want to put anyone in danger. Mofan will later use his status as a hunter to get reports of any cases regarding large quantities of beef being stolen. The information leads to an area where he finds some of its fur, but it has nearly disintegrated, which means that it left it a few days ago. He receives a call from his informant about another case of missing beef, but we are shown that it is actually a trap set by a member of the Black Curia. She has done exactly what he asked, but the man demonstrates the absolute cruelty of the Black Curia when he feeds her to his beast. Later, we see that an old acquaintance of Mofan's named Zhao Ting is mistaken for him when the Black Curia go to capture him. He fights valiantly with his lightning magic but loses and is taken to the priest by one of the Black Curia. The others are left to dispose of the girl he was with named Lulu. She's about to be torn apart by one of the dark beasts, but Mofan arrives just in time to save her. The Black Curia member is pretty confident though, since normal mid-tier magic isn't even enough to defeat one dark beast, but Mofan unleashes his new level 2 lightning attack that does massive damage to the surrounding area. He is still severely outnumbered, but Lulu gets to witness as Mofan demonstrates just how unique and exceptional his lightning has become. In combination with his other abilities, he takes care of the group and exclaims that he will show no mercy to the despicable Black Curia. Mofan takes Lulu to safety when she reveals that Zhao Ting has been captured. We then see that Yu Wang promises to give special treatment to Zhao Ting since he remembers him from Bo City. Zhao Ting is confident that Mofan will come rescue him very soon and asks if Yu Wang is afraid since a monster like him will suffer a horrible death. Yu Wang hates being called that word and explains that it won't be long before Zhao Ting becomes a monster more hideous than him and will begin to regret his very existence. A week later, Shia is upset to see that Mofan hasn't been coming home at night, but still thinks he can just barge in and eat all their food. Mu doesn't mind though, so Mofan just asks about their progress with finding the Shadow Beast. Mu explains that finding the beast is only the first step, since they will have to bring it to the taming cage to complete the task, meaning that the beast can be stolen between students. Shia can't believe students would do that, but realizes that Mofan is actually the devil that stole the entire school's resources. Mofan realizes that the test isn't so much about capturing a beast as it is about a battle between students. Mofan then visits Lulu, who wants to go search for Zhao Ting, but Mofan says she needs to rest and he has been searching non-stop. She blames herself for not stopping Zhao Ting and explains that they were there because they received tips from a student about the Shadow Beast being there. Mofan realizes that someone must have been giving out fake clues and wonders if the Black Curia have already infiltrated their school. That night, she remembers the fake student's name to be Fu, and is startled when she sees a dark beast behind her. Just when Lulu thinks she has found a safe hiding spot, another monster appears. The beast struggles with itself for a moment though, and turns to fight the Curia's beasts. After its victory, it approaches Lulu to wipe away her tears. Yu Wang appears and is surprised to see that the monster has decided not to do its job. Elsewhere, Mofan finally is able to get a hold of Miss Tang. She warns that the Black Curia are coming after him, and he explains that he has managed to slaughter several dark beasts already. However, she explains that they aren't actually magical beasts, they are actually living humans, cursed souls crushed under the Black Curia's most terrifying ability. People that fall into their hands are transformed into beasts. Mofan realizes that if they have turned Zhao Ting into one of them, then they will know where Lulu lives. Miss Tang doesn't know her, so Mofan explains that Lulu is Zhao Ting's girlfriend, and the only person left that was close to him. We then watch as Yu Wang explains that a beast being able to control itself is truly exceptional, since it requires a soul that is filled with anger and resentment. However, he explains that he should give up hopes of returning to normal, as his emotions will begin to disappear and no one can stop the transformation. Yu Wang commands him to kill her again, but this time warns that he will kill her instead if Zhao Ting doesn't. The difference is he will not allow a beautiful girl like her to die happily. Unable to overpower Yu Wang's control, Zhao Ting strikes Lulu, and Yu Wang thinks about how perfect a message this is to send to Mofan. As Lulu's life begins to fade away, she tries to comfort Zhao Ting as she can see the pain in his eyes. She explains that everything will be okay and she doesn't blame him for anything. Those prove to be her last words and Zhao Ting can only scream in pain. Mofan arrives just then and Zhao Ting gives him a clue with someone's name on it. He begs that Mofan end his life, but Mofan refuses and says that he will take him to the Magic Association in case someone there can cure him. However, Mofan remembers that Miss Tang told him that the only one that would have a chance at saving him is the healing goddess, but she was killed by the Black Curia. Mofan decides to grant Zhao Ting's final wish and ends his suffering. The name on the clue belongs to the Blue Deacon, and Miss Tang explains that they can use him to find Seinen. It's clear to Mofan that the Black Curia member in charge of this operation is hiding amongst the students at Mingzhu Academy. He tells Miss Tang to use the Blue Deacon to find Seinen, but to leave the person at Mingzhu Academy to him. Afterwards, Mofan calls his friend in the military, who explains that they agreed to the academy using the beast in the assessment because it isn't classified as dangerous, and Mofan asks that he locate it for him. Later, Mu and Shia wonder why Mofan has revealed to everyone that he has captured the Shadow Beast, instead of sneaking it into the cage in secret. Now everyone knows and has assembled near the cage to steal it away from him. Everyone is surprised to see that the devil Mofan has arrived and was telling the truth about the shadow beast. Mofan summons his archwolf, and Mu explains that she had felt the same energy from Mofan when he escaped her forest prison, and begins to think that he has the shadow talent as well. Mofan explains to everyone that the shadow beast has swallowed a bottle of spring water. He says he doesn't care about the beast and just wants his bottle back. Nearby, Yuang realizes that Mofan has seen through their plan and is attempting to have everyone fight. However, he says that they can easily hide amongst the students and explains that whatever he is planning is irrelevant. All he cares about is getting the sacred spring and killing Mofan. Back on the ground, Mofan explains to Fang that he wants to apologize for embarrassing him before and gives him the shadow beast. Fang knows it's not sincere and proves to be correct when everyone attacks him for the beast. These are some of the most powerful students in the entire school, and they give their all for the chance at getting into the 3-step tower. We can see that several elements are used at a very high level, causing absolute chaos. The instructors watch as their students behave recklessly, going all out to the point that they will all end up killing each other. The Dean then reveals that it is time to activate the Night Conqueror formation that will suppress all their magic powers. One of the instructors warns that it would leave them vulnerable if the Black Hyria decide to strike. He is willing to take the risk and makes his command again. The sky is covered in darkness and the effects of the formation are immediately felt as the students can't use their magic. Yuang explains that the academy must not know that they are there since they wouldn't have trapped their helpless students inside with them. And Fu arrives to explain that the spell was set beforehand in case the students went on a rampage like they are. It is explained that Mofan has been weakened like everyone else, but the dark beasts of the Kyria are cursed and have not been affected at all. This is the perfect time to kill Mofan that Yuang has been waiting for. Thanks for watching part 13. 10,000 likes to let me know you want a part 14.